You're probably sitting there thinking there's no way MrSneakyy knows how to complete the Miasma Giant already, but I have got a message for you. We're going to be using the live gameplay of just a static one to explain how every single one of these skills here actually works, and it's going to be really easy to follow, and by doing that, it should give everyone a first glance understanding of what to do before you even have access to the raid in the next few days. Hello everyone, yeah, smash a like, comment down and subscribe for more daily videos. Me, MrSneakyy, the one and only, and we're here today talking about the Miasma Giant, the brand new one. And to be honest, I was kind of shocked because this giant, or this behemoth should we say, is completely different than the actual normal one. So you know the original giants back here, how this boy works, but the Miasma Giant actually has a completely different way of working, and to be honest, requires quite a lot of teamwork in the game. So what we're going to be doing, like I said, we're going to be using the live gameplay here to explain some of these mechanics here on the side so you can understand what I'm talking about when we're going through each one of these skills. And by the end of it, we should know exactly what to do in the raid and have a good kind of general idea of what to do. So with all of that said, let's dive in. So first, let's talk about how these abilities all kind of read out, and then we're going to bring that gameplay up to explain it, right? So first things first, we've got the first three. These are just general damage abilities. So you can imagine if you're the tank, these are kind of just little slaps and kicks he's going to be doing to you to just deal some damage, while obviously all the DPS are out of range. So just remember that when you look at these three, that is what those are on. When we look at the next one, it's called the Cleansing Mana Stone. So the Cleansing Mana Stone says it will appear in the Magma Giant's lair. Collect it to gain 1 stack of Plague Ward, providing immunity to damage dealt by the Miasma. So you can see here, potentially there's going to be multiple Cleansing Mana Stones that could appear, and by collecting them, it's going to allow you to withstand certain damage windows in the raids. It's going to be really cool to see how this actually fully plays out with the gameplay. But then we've got Rock Pool, and this is a really important mechanic that I will need to explain with the gameplay showcase in a moment, so don't worry. But 6 of you are going to be targeted with a mark, and with that mark, you're going to basically drop a massive AoE pool on the location you are at after so long, and it basically negates that area. So you don't want to be obviously near that because it's going to do some damage to everyone. Finally, we've got Rolling Stone. This says the Miasma Giant swings its mighty arms and deals damage to all enemy legions in a forward rectangle, knocking them airborne. So we don't know again how big this move is going to be, but with the gameplay in a moment, we will break down how I believe this skill is going to look. Then we've got the Fog Devourer. This says any miasma that is going to be in the field or in the Behemoth raid is going to be absorbed, and it's going to grant him stacks of billowing fog. And this makes more sense when we start moving a little bit more across to the different skills here. So Plague Heart is going to inflict a toxic discharge onto legions, and they take physical damage every second, and will also destroy rock pools within range. So it's really cool that you're able to destroy these rock pools, because you can see later down the line after this one, after a short charge up, the Miasma Giant creates 1 stack of Miasma layer in its layer, each of a maximum of 3 stacks. Each stack increases the amount of damage that this guy does to all the legions. So you can see here how these 3 kind of work together, right? It's going to be absorbing any of the miasma you don't claim, and you as a player needs to be able to get this toxic discharge to destroy basically the rock pools to get away all of that miasma area, right? So we'll see how this fully works obviously when we get to it, but it's kind of self-explanatory so far. Toxic Onslaught by the Miasma Giant consumes 1 stack of the billowing fog to stun the current target and inflict toxic discharge. Being hit by toxic discharge twice in a row will kill a legion instantly, right? And deal skill damage to all surrounding legions around them for 40%. So this skill is going to be a really important one for tank players when it comes to the strategy, when you are honestly probably going to be doing a really important job, I think, in the game. Then we've got the final one, which is Plague Heartbeat Burst. Miasma Giant absorbs all the rock pools within its lair, dealing physical damage to all legions. Each rock pool absorbed increases damage dealt by 5%, and the Miasma Giant also causes Legion Toxic Discharge to explode, dealing physical skill damage to surrounding legions, and that's basically it. For the next two, as you can imagine, is going to be just some more damage. This is the Onslaught, so after consuming one stack of the Billowing Fog to stun, you're going to instantly kill someone again. So it just kind of showcases how this Toxic Onslaught works. It's there twice. But then we've got Healing Mana Stone. So you will get a Healing Mana Stone when the second stage ends. The lair produces Healing Mana Stone when gathered, and it heals legions lightly when wounded. So those are all the skills we've got in play. So now let's bring up the gameplay side of things and explain what they mean by all of these skills that we've got on display right now, right? So first things first, what we're going to do is talk about how on here we're going to have the major move where 6 of you are gonna get targeted, right? So if we could draw just hypothetically here, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We'll put another 6 on this side. So we've got kind of like an even spread look of an alliance, right? And then we'll also put, just for argument's sake, we'll put 1 tank and we're going to put a second tank. So I do believe you're going to need 2 tanks to complete this raid, just to give you guys a heads up. Now, when the rock pools appear, what's going to happen, as you can imagine, 6 of you are going to get some sort of marker on your heads, right? So 6 of you on top of your legions are going to get a marker on your head that's going to signify this kind of AoE, which you don't want to take or make anyone take. So what your job is as anyone with this is obviously to move this debuff to the edges of the rim. So by doing this, all of the AoE is basically going to be stacked, as you can imagine, around the back end of the, you know, Behemoth layer. You can do the same on this side, so you can stack everything around like that, and you're going to be good to go. By doing that, obviously, you would have completed that challenge, and then we can start to talk about how we can get rid of them, right? Because Plague Heart says, when legions are infected with a toxic discharge, they will also destroy rock pools within range. So what you could do if you are going to get targeted by the, you know, move, which I believe is going to be more of what a tank is going to get targeted by, you are going to be able to, as you can imagine, destroy those rock pools. So it's going to be an interesting raid already, as you can see how this is going to work. Maybe you want to get the rock pools instead of the outer rim, put them more closer in. So if you bring them as close in as possible, could be another solution to what you need to do. Because what I am going to say is, if you get the tanks to target, obviously, the Miasma Giant, what's going to happen is the tank player, unfortunately, is going to get that stack, right? So he's going to get the toxic debuff. So I'm going to call it TD just to show you here. So he's going to get the toxic debuff, right? And with that debuff, obviously, if he gets a second one, he's going to instantly die, and you can't allow that. So what you need to do, as you can imagine, as the second tank player, you want to grab aggro from this little boy so you can get the toxic discharge for your team. And the cool thing is, once you are getting targeted by that toxic discharge, as a tank player, as you can imagine, you could move into position where these rock pools are. So you could do this in a really cool format, just like that. And that's a nice, easy way of explaining it, right? Also, just as a hypothetical, if I am wrong, the toxic discharge is randomly targeted, right? So imagine this giant doesn't target one of the tanks to give them the debuff, but it does target one of the ranged units out here. Again, you could just move in closer depending where you've positioned your rock pool. So that's kind of like the whole, I think, gimmick and ruling of this whole raid, right? Now, if we kind of get rid of everything, one move that isn't, or haven't really spoken about, is the big knock-up, because it says all legions are in a rectangle. So kind of what I've got a feeling, or a sneaky suspicion, is the boss itself is going to probably create a decent-sized box, right? So this is kind of like a rectangle here, and if anyone is in this rectangle, or potentially it reaches, you know, all the way across, who knows? But depending on where you are, it's going to knock you guys up into the air, airborne, so you're not going to be dealing any damage, right? So that's kind of how the whole raid works, right? So we've kind of gone through it. So stage 1 now, if we're going to try and break it down, if you're going to go to phase 1 into phase 2, because we know after phase 2 finishes, you're going to get a little healing stone, right? So we're going to get a healing stone that we're able to grab. So phase 1, as you can imagine, is when you start the raid and you start to attack the Miasma Giant. Phase 2 is going to be when he does the knock-up on players, and then when he applies the 6 different rock pool marks for players to move in their designated areas, depending on how players perceive this guide and what they think is the best way to do it. Just move into locations. Once you've done that, you will notice some players will get toxic discharge at some point. They'll get targeted, and they will need to go and move to these rock pools to destroy them. If you do not destroy the rock pools, guys, just remember the giant here is going to get 5% extra damage per one. So everyone on the battlefield that you haven't cleared up, it's going to get 5% more damage, and it's going to do a giant AoE move to kill you. So that is why it's really important to understand these mechanics. So this is the Miasma Giant. Hopefully I've done a really good job of explaining what the skills are currently and what I believe they explain with the gameplay kind of here on stock, right? And going through each of the skills. So I hope I made sense through phase 1, phase 2, and just kind of repeat that each time, and you're going to complete the Miasma Giant. And yeah, that is pretty much it. Tell me what your thoughts are, if I'm pretty accurate, or what you think maybe some of the skills are instead. It'd be really interesting to see. And when this raid does come out on my server, which is Division 3001, so the first one, so we're going to get first dibs and look at the raid. Obviously, we'll see if I'm right or if I am wrong. So until the next video, smash like, comment, and subscribe. Until the next one, stay safe, stay sneaky. Peace out.